Okay.
Yep.
So we'll call the meeting to order. To start with, any public comment today? Hearing none, so we will go on with the approval of the June 23 meeting minutes. Any motions to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
It's pretty risky.
Anybody can second?
Come on. Oh, I'll second it.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
All opposed?
That's perfect.
Next, we have the approval of the financial report. Any motion to approve the financial report? Any questions on the financial report today?
Do you want to summarize it for us?
There's not a whole lot to summarize. We're hitting our numbers. You know, we're expected 140 at the pool. We're at 122, and that was at the end of June. So we made quite a bit on our 4th of July fireworks display, moonlight swim / thing. So our numbers look good. I know we're probably going to be over in playground salary. That was the projection. I'm not sure though now that vacations have hit if we're going to be quite as dire as we thought we were going to be. But everything looks to be kind of in order. So I'm not too excited yet.
Motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second? Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none. Moving on, so we have the committee report. So 4th of July fireworks recap.
4th of July fireworks were, I think, a resounding success. I can tell you because Beth Daly told me yesterday that ROG will be sponsoring, if the borough decides to have fireworks next year, they will be sponsoring these fireworks again.
You ready for repeats?
What was that?
Ready for
Yes. Sorry, ROG Orthodontics. Orthodontics.
Jerry
Yeah.
kind of flubbed that one when he was emceeing off the Stonehouse porch after the parade.
I didn't even pick that up, and
I did. I was like,
Yeah.
he said he was gonna correct it later. If he did, I wasn't there to hear it. But
Yeah, but they loved it. I got a lot of positive feedback. We got one email from a lady whose dog went berserk. So 1 out of 10,000 people who live in the borough isn't too bad, I don't think.
Yeah.
there is, if you don't mind me sharing,
Okay.
I followed up with obviously the fire marshal followed up with me after the fact. There's a lot we're gonna have to change for next year.
Mhm.
Close the trails down, close the roads down. Just there's a lot more that needs to be done next year to make sure it's done safely and correctly.
The thinking that right afterward, Troy Hack, who was the fire marshal for Spring Township and Wyomissing, thought it would be a good idea to ask the school to move the fireworks to the baseball field outfield, which is far enough away from any populated areas and it's easier to control. It has a fence. There's one trail that goes up and down. You can see the trail from the spot. It's very easy. That way the people, if you want to have a moonlight swim, they can stay in the pool, watch the fireworks as they're happening in the water. Yay! That's a little bit better spacing for everybody involved.
I love seeing it. I was on the grassy space at the field. It was so nice. It looked so great above the fitness center.
It was
Like
a
the
really
view was
good display.
amazing.
Good.
Because you could walk.
Right.
So
You
like,
just kind
because
of
if you put
show
it,
up.
I understand like the desire to put it somewhere more like away from
Oh.
the pocket. But when you do that, then everyone's gonna drive. I feel like people will drive
It's just across the street.
Yeah, it's literally half a block. I think we'll be
to
the baseball
the
field.
baseball field.
Yeah.
Where will people be?
They might drive.
I think it's the same. You sit the same place you did. I think the view will actually be better because it's a higher elevation than the pool.
You need to sit in the same place.
Yeah.
So symmetrical above the fitness center. Like really, like there was real aesthetics there. It was real nice. I'm just saying.
The parade, John estimated the parade had between 25 and 30,000 people. We ran out of flags as we turned onto Wyomissing Boulevard, and I ordered 16,000 flags. So there are lots of people. We'll have to up that order next year. Parade went really smoothly. I didn't hear much about gaps. I got the emails I included were from people who had participated and how much they loved it. One is from Ken Spiker, who is the Skyline Drive Corvette Club president, and the other is from, oh no, it's from Susie Lutz. She was the horse, she was in charge of the horse brigade of people. My wife loved that. But they seemed to really enjoy it. I didn't get any negative feedback from the participants. So everyone on the parade routes, all 6 to 8 deep of them on Cleveland Avenue, seemed to have a good time. So yeah,
Jana, do you wanna, I don't even know if Pete saw it, I just happened to right before.
yeah, right.
Yeah, the parade, all of our events require a lot of support from borough employees who are not banked. The parade in particular is staff intensive. Before, some people have to give up their holiday to work. They have to clean up after. And what prompts my comment is that I sent an email to a couple folks after the parade thanking them. And some apparently shared it with their subordinates, and one of the subordinates who was working for us for almost 30 years told the Borough Council President that this was the first time that he'd been thanked by anybody in Borough Council. Now, I don't know whether that's accurate, but regardless, it makes me incredibly sad. And I think particularly because of all that we require of the borough employees, it would be important for the rec board to send letters to each employee, not individualized particularly, other than an individual signature, but thanking them for everything that they do, using the 4th of July parade as a springboard, but we ask a lot of them and we love them
Yeah.
to return it. So I sent a historic plan.
I like that. I mean, I
I'm
read
sure-
through it briefly, but
I'm
it
sure there
covers
are a lot of
everything.
things that they do that I'm oblivious to, and it ought to be listed, so, you know, if the rec board is inclined, I think I could ask Pete to send a letter. So I don't know whether we need a motion for that.
No, we can just send them out.
Send a
People
letter.
seem supportive.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, appreciate you letting me address that.
Sure.
Thank you for bringing it up.
At this one, I'd like to, I know Natalie is here and she's not a member of this board anymore, she doesn't have to be here. I would just like to take a moment.
Miss her though.
We've been putting this off since February because of basketball
the
and
only time I
college
could come.
and everything else, so this has been a long time coming.
We need a picture of you two too.
I'll read this for Natalie. A resolution of the Council of the Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, in recognition of the dedication and contributions of Natalie Loeb to the Borough of Wyomissing. Whereas Natalie Loeb served on the Wyomissing Recreation Board as an alternate member from 2020 to 2021 and a voting member from 2021 to 2022. And whereas the Council of the Borough of Wyomissing wishes to recognize sincere gratitude and appreciation, dedication, and numerous longstanding contributions of Natalie Loeb to the Borough of Wyomissing and the community at large. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Borough of Wyomissing on behalf of the borough that it extends a sincere gratitude and appreciation in recognition of Natalie. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Don't worry, Mr. Janik, I'll crop you out.
Do you have anything to say? Any words of encouragement?
No,
or-
thank you. I mean, I love serving because these were the events that my kids always loved when I was younger. Unfortunately, my life got so busy, I could not make the meetings, and therefore I felt like it was better for me to do something else right now. So,
Thank you.
but yeah, I think it's important and I think it's great for the community. Yeah,
Fun, how are you doing?
yeah, and I think most people are appreciative.
I think so too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Have a good
Yes,
night.
see ya.
The next big events we have are the ROG Movie at the Stonehouse. That again will feature free sweet bright ice cream and popcorn. The movie is Minions: The Rise of Gru. That was suggested by Beth Bailey, so I thought, why not? That sounds like fun. They're currently working on the artwork, so we'll get those up as soon as the concert for the Lantern Parade comes down. Spooky Hollow is the next kind of like borough-wide event. Sally is the chair for Spooky Hollow. I'm sure at some point she'll be calling a subcommittee meeting to talk about what that needs to look like and who can help and how can help and all that stuff.
I can tell you right now, I will be there, same way as last year. Pumpkins, loaded, unloaded, whatever.
Great.
Hopefully we're not
Awesome.
rotten.
Hopefully not fruit flies, yes.
Yeah, gross. You know, batch of rotten pumpkins and stuff. Thrive programming is going very well. We have about the level of buy-in I thought we'd get for like a kind of school-oriented program for the summer playground. Some kids are very interested and some kids are like, where can I go? I'm not to do this, and that's fine. We're not kind of programming those kids to be forced to sit through it if they don't, can't stand it. It's fine. They can go. We have enough leaders to go and they can do whatever they're doing. But the kids that have participated in both weeks have really enjoyed it. They'll be there again tomorrow. So they'll be tomorrow and then next Wednesday and next Wednesday's their last.
And it's like some like social and emotional type
Yeah.
training possible.
Boundaries, goal setting, all that kind of positive stuff.
Right.
So, fall walk is coming up. My idea for the fall walk was very simple. We're gonna make a nice color copy of the parkland map. I would love to make it interactive. So you can like use a QR code and get like, oh, this was the meadow where they had horse races. And you can click on that, it comes up on your phone, you can see it. This is where they had the old mill, and here's what the old mill did. And all that stuff's available online. It's just a matter of putting the QR codes on the map. And then my thought was, if you donate, whatever that donate had, it could be $1 or $100, you get a nice little fridge magnet. Something to keep. We used to do the tiles, we don't have any of those in here, do we?
I do like
There's
the
a
magnet. You
library.
said you'd make them different, right, for each fall walk?
Yeah.
There'd be different like magnets you can collect the different magnets. I mean, like that's real like appealing. So my son would be totally into that.
Yeah.
If he gets a magnet, he'd be like, yes.
And it's
like we need to go next
Right.
time and get that other magnet.
Our sign company, Signs and More, and over on Lancaster Avenue in Shillington, says it's very inexpensive. They can cut them and make them whatever graphic we want to look. So we'll have more about that maybe next month. We'll come up with a graphic to put on. It's a logo. We could do a logo. We could do a picture of Stonehouse. We could do
That'd be
a
fun.
tree.
Like, yeah.
You know, whatever.
What would have like 2023 on it?
Yeah. So it's year and next year if they do it again, you can a different magnet. So this is an idea, but it's another generator, maybe a revenue for the red board.
Before you wrap up your report, would you get any feedback from Rotary on whether they were pleased with
They were
the
exhausted.
field of honor?
They were-
and-
They were absolutely. I talked to Carolyn and I talked to what is his name? Their aide de camp, so to speak, the guy who kind of designed all this and brought it from New Jersey. And they were. I talked to him yesterday. He's still exhausted. Like he said, I haven't recovered yet. I'm sleeping 9 hours a night. I'm like, okay. Like they really exerted themselves. They loved it. They'll be back next year. They're all about it. They did have one instance of vandalization. They had those freedom. I don't know if you saw those little line signs that freedom, and somebody rearranged them to say something profane. And that was the only. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, but it was
We were
just
trying
a
to figure it out. I couldn't do it.
It was just.
So-
Could you see that on my face?
I think they wrote like reefer or like I don't even know, but it was like
But-
something just stupid.
But it didn't actually damage anything. They just
They wrote weed. They took the M and turned and I'm like, okay, and that's really good. That's the only thing. All the flags were safe. Unique Pretzel took theirs, and they didn't know.
Is that
they
what
were-
happened?
Yeah, she
She-
figured that out.
Gail told me that there was one missing on the 4th that was replaced on the 5th, but then another one was taken later on.
Whoever the unique representative was for the Stonehouse after the parade just was like, oh, I guess we'll just take our flag and left. I think they just tried to run really quick there. They were very happy too, so.
To look for.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of nice feedback about that, so.
Tom Boucher, our AMA coordinator, did get drone footage. Give me a second. I'll probably find it online. Did I send them to you?
You did, I think. Or was I CC'd on?
I don't understand why.
Or you would have sent?
No, I'm gonna delete it.
Or they deleted?
I didn't save them once I sent them to you guys. I have 'em. We can find them, we can push them out to you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there were some pool photos, they wanted to take from, I think, 300 feet and 500 feet, but it basically, there was no quality to the picture, so I think he said they took them at like 50 and 100 something. And you still couldn't get the whole stone house with all of the flags around it in one camera shot, but it's just a different perspective than seeing them
Yeah.
I can send you right now.
on the ground.
I couldn't get anything with the camera shot, so.
You still got some good ones.
For the day before, it's
I wanted to go back when it was like sunset. It would look real nice at sunset, cause you know, when all the people clear out and it's like, the pond looks really nice at sunset.
We didn't get any complaints about lighting them at night, that went off without a hitch, so I think people understood what we were trying to do there, so. Here you go. It's nice that the pond is.
So I think these were the higher elevation.
You got low,
Picture.
yeah.
That one's better, yeah, that one's. Focuses in as much on the pond,
At the breeze zone.
yeah. That was nice.
So if we can use these for future promotional.
I sent them to Carolyn too, so she has them. She's no longer the president of the,
I sent them to Gail Landis
yeah,
as well.
okay.
That's nice.
My report, a whole lot different than this. Summer programming concludes on August 4th. The pool closes Monday, September 4th. We have a pool general staff meeting tomorrow. I will get a firm yay or nay if we can be open, instead of the 2 weeks shut down, if we can be open one of those weeks for the afternoon. I know a lot of the kids have sports. And we like our active guards and everything, but if they have a couple hours, like 3 hours, 4 to 7 or something in the evening, we can see. I'll have that number hopefully tomorrow. I'm anticipating that week that school starts, we're not gonna be able to open. So this week, that weekend is Sunday, and then we'll be back open Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Labor Day weekend. So we'll have those 5 days off. Rentals for 6:15 to 7:12. Wyomissing Hills was 2 for $500. Happy Hollow was 3 for $750. The Stonehouse was 2 for $600, which is right for I think all year. Maintenance, we reinstalled the Gaga pit at Wyomissing Hills to much fanfare and frivolity. The kids seem to love it. I was told years ago they don't like Gaga balls, so we just stick this here. Kent and Craig and Kent, two of our public works guys were like, we're either going to get rid of this thing or we're going to put it up. And I'm like, let's try to put it up. And the kids have been in it ever since, so that was a good thing. Continued maintenance of the pool. The pool has had a rough go of it after the 4th of July. Now it's back up and running and lovely. But there's 1,000 people in the pool between 8 o'clock July 3rd night. I should just go for opening. So noon July 3rd to 8 o'clock July 4th. It was, we had to close at 7 o'clock on July 4th because we couldn't see the bottom of the pool. It was like milk. It was bad. So that, yeah, that, no, it's okay, I'm sorry. I just, it's,
And you closed it.
yeah, you can't see kids underneath the surface, you gotta close. Kent and Craig and Steve did a fantastic job. They pumped old water out, put new water in, took all the diatomaceous earth off the filter, put new diatomaceous earth on, and now it's running, it's lovely. We had a pretty busy 2 days in, and it's clear as a bell. I was down there at 4 o'clock, it's lovely.
You forgot it flooded in the meantime.
Oh, and it's also flooded, yeah. But that kind of took care of itself. We were open by noon that day. That was that Sunday. We dodged the bullet of the creek not overflowing into the pool. We're not exactly sure how that happened, but we're glad it didn't happen. So, we had pool inspection scheduled for today, but it was actually pushed back to next Tuesday. So we will get a good idea of what the pool needs as far as going forward, especially some of our things that need to be attention to the left. Yeah, it's just like a,
Inspection.
yeah.
I know where the, yeah, so, $6 million
Foyer
later.
They've done it before for us, so.
Yeah.
Do we have any issues with like we had all that rain with like the pump house structure?
The pump house that's part of, if you're looking at the pool in a bigger context, The pump house is directly in the floodplain,
The whole pool is,
which is
the whole
not great.
property is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not great.
So
Um,
when it floods, is that
It didn't flood.
No, she's talking about in 2021,
Oh,
2019, 2018.
good? Okay.
Yeah.
So this time around, it got close, but it never
Correct.
actually.
The
That's
pool,
amazing.
the pool water got high, but it didn't flood.
The creek didn't come up over the road
Yeah.
like it
I
had
think it was
years
at the
prior.
courts, got up to the courts when I drove
Yeah.
by.
And it pops over to the fence, like so the Old Mill
Yeah.
Road, it goes like that little culvert there, it diverts
And then
itself
it's all
and then
down.
shoots back.
Okay.
What got us the last time was the creek on the other side of Evans, that little
Yeah.
bump out, that overflew and there's no stopping that, it goes right through the parking lot and right into the.
And
the
that
people.
overflowed, is that a word?
No.
Overflowed because it's been a long day, sorry. The dumpster at Cambridge Commons floated and blocked the culvert.
So
So,
is that what happened
Yeah.
in the past when the creek went across the road?
I mean, yeah, in general, 100-year storms are not 100-year events anymore, so
No,
you're,
anymore, no.
yeah, you're gonna see more of that likely in the future, but, I mean, knowing that the pool is in a floodplain, if we do anything there in the future, I think if that building is rehabbed, repaired, renovated, elevating it would be a step in the right direction. And would actually be required for FEMA regulations.
Um,
Another way to use money.
It's an investment for sure.
Something I should look into and honestly never really thought of until now
What's
is,
your perspective?
while we own that property, I assume we have to have flood insurance on it.
That'd be a good thing.
Yeah, well, that's my experience.
Yeah, that's a good,
Yeah.
it's in a floodplain, like,
Normally
Right,
it's
those
your,
costs.
normally it's your lender that's requiring that, but we own it outright, so. I mean, we have general liability and property insurance, but the addition of flood insurance is usually required by your lender to insure their investment.
But Jim said there was insurance for $30,000 damage.
That's coming through PEMA and FEMA, so that is basically the governor declared a state of emergency, so we tally up, this is all the damage, we had the emergency declaration that was signed by Mr. Easter and Mr. Shango.
Okay, so it wasn't for our carry.
Correct. That's separate through FEMA and FEMA.
Thank you.
So we'll report on that next month, the results of that, and see where we're at. We talked about the 4th of July and fireworks. Five programming, basketball courts, 2 rims are down in each court. I've gotten positive feedback from residents and the people that live around the courts that it's less of a mess.
They-
I think it's a shame to waste half the courts. You know, it's a playground, to have half the courts for it shut down, but, you know, it's better, yes. But,
I don't,
that
as we
costs
talked, I don't
us
think there's an easy answer to, the problem we're facing here,
It's definitely better, but,
Yeah.
you're not using half that space.
Would it be crazy to like invite some of the regulars to come to a rec board meeting and talk about, like invite some community people to come and talk about our concerns? Or
You
maybe
gotta
that's-
find them, I think, first.
Yeah.
Plus you guys, people talk to them while they're playing. You've talked to some people.
Yeah.
When other people have talked to them, explained the problem, and
Don't care. And we can definitely do that, Sally.
I mean, it's just, I'm wondering if like making it more like let's joint problem solve, like kind of giving, like respecting, the fact that they want to play, and I don't know if it would have better follow through or not, like if someone who came, like a couple people came to the meeting and then spread the word to other people that they would see when they're there.
I would have hoped after putting the signs up to try and get them to take ownership of where they were playing basketball. If that didn't encourage them, like, hey, maybe you guys should see if there's somebody I can call to talk to, or like what prompted this, and I mean, you got no response to that, Pete, correct?
and then it was locked.
Wow.
And no response to that either.
They came right back.
I like your idea, Sally. I feel like it's just, who who is the you know, like
Right.
you have to have the right people at the meeting. Cause if you have people that, like, you have to have like, who's the,
Somebody
who has the
there-
most influence,
Who lives
the
in the
most, you know,
Yeah,
like,
or there
that's how you
at the-
identify that person, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't really
That's
know
the
the
challenge.
community, if it's like a similar, it'd be nice if Mike were here.
Yeah.
He sees a lot of the same faces.
Right.
Yeah, he might be better.
And then is the plan just to leave them that way for the duration?
Yeah.
Or is there,
I mean, your problem typically goes away October through March-ish.
I mean, is there any way to find a middle ground where, like, is it tough
That is,
to,
this is the middle ground.
is it tough
Yeah.
to take off and put them back up? Is that a difficult process for us to complete?
I mean, we can put it back up, but.
But you seem to be suggesting do it every day, and that's.
No, I'm not saying do it every day, I'm saying, like, it's not a process that takes a huge amount of time. It's something that's relatively easy to do, so at any point in time, we could easily put them back up, or even like incrementally, you know, every month, put them up for a week, or take them back down, like just some way to get them up there. With some frequency for full court games, obviously, if we have the tournaments again, or the league again, that's something we put them up for, so
Right.
if we have that occur, you're not going to be having them up and down every day, so you would have them for the duration of that league, most likely being up. So is there a way to put them up with some frequency that's not necessarily predictable, to at least have that ability every once in a while to have them up, or like announce when full courts will be available, like, you know, a week, a month, or something like that?
I mean, how much of a hassle is it?
It takes time, I mean, it's not hard, but it's another step in a day if we have to meet a schedule to put up rims. Yeah, I mean, it's possible,
No, and I'm not saying put them up and take them down every day, I'm just,
you know, even every week would be, we're going right back to where we were.
And this is your busy time of year.
Yeah,
You've got a
yeah,
lot of
we're, yeah.
challenges.
There's no reason you can't, you know, in March or April of next year, put them all back up and
See
start
what
from
happens.
square one and see where you're at. I think we've crossed the Rubicon this summer
What are you
as
putting,
far as,
what are
you
you
know.
putting them up for kids, or are you looking for adult games? Or
All that's
do you
gonna
get-
happen is
do you get
that-
smaller nets or something that's not,
That's
Well,
I
it's
like
not
the idea of
regulation.
getting like a kid nets, like
They
I would
will-
like love to have a youth, like basketball hoop.
They will destroy those.
Oh,
No, and the other thing is we need adult recreation. But so much for kids, we don't have nearly as much for adults, and I hate to take it away from adults and not give adults something else.
And anything that's in reachable level is usually stolen, graffiti, or yeah.
These school.
Yeah.
You get the pool then, where it's monitored,
We do have short nets at the pool.
they're just so really big. They're like for like kids that are under 6 or
Well,
whatever.
they're like 6 feet tall. They're tall as big. They run this way. The big court goes this way and then they run perpendicular.
But you think we leave it alone until next spring?
Yep.
what if, far-fetched, but, so there's responsible people that wanna play basketball. And we rent out the stone house and stuff like that, well, if people wanna be responsible
Oh.
and rent,
That's a good idea.
we lock them, and if you wanna play,
You gotta come
Key
here.
deposit.
Gotta leave an ID, put an ID deposit.
then we just leave it open and, well, we leave the nets up and we lock it, and whoever's responsible wants to play a game.
Well, they gotta come here between 9 and 3.
Well, they can come get it and then
Yeah.
bring it back.
Can you
I
put
don't
it?
know.
Is there?
Could you put a key box, like drop box, like
Yeah,
down
at least
there
they're not
on the
return
fence,
them.
and then like lock the padlock, drop the thing in there,
We'd probably get something a little heavy duty,
and well,
It's not walking off.
but, yeah.
Look at all your keys.
I mean, it's an
Um,
option to think about and talk about for next year, I don't know.
It's good for
Didn't you
hollow, but
say
it's
there's
the
a
door.
way in my rack, like, we never went
yeah.
there with the courts, but like, you could do basketball courts as a rental facility, like, you
Sure.
do everything
you
online.
could, and with that too, I don't know if you guys wanted to get involved with this, like, there's a whole team sport module with my rec that like we could start our own league, and then even there's an option where you can have a guest registration, so you don't have to be a borough resident to sign up for it. So, that's an option too.
I mean, I think we would wanna keep it limited to borough residents.
Right,
But they could sign up through MyRac, just like they do.
Yeah, to
for
reserve the
Stonehouse
court.
like
or
I
anything
could
else.
make the basketball court at Happy Hollow reservable for anywhere really.
That is a fix potentially for Happy Hollow, but that does not fix the hills.
Yeah, it's not.
I feel like it shouldn't be like that the whole time though, because I do think it's important that you can go to the playground and play basketball, maybe you have it in the you have the half court thing going on, and I don't know, like what you do with the other half of the court, you don't wanna waste space. But maybe you have some sort of like, this 2 weeks you can reserve, then it's 2 weeks of open, you know, and then it's 2 weeks where you reserve, and then, like, I don't know, just kinda give the residents a break.
So I was talking to Pete and Greg before the meeting started, with Michelle's permission, we have a Pennsylvania Parks and Recreation Society membership through the borough. And they had, a thing posted that senior recreation directors throughout the state could sign up to be a mentor. And then newer people could sign up to be a mentee, so I signed up as a mentee and got paired with the director from Lancaster County Parks and Recreation. So we were gonna meet sometime in August, and I think Pete and Greg are gonna come with. And that's something that I could ask her, like how they, being in the city, they have like a lot of facilities in a city, like how do they combat these issues and like see what they have to say
That's great.
and see what other, adult recreation programs that they offer that maybe we could bring here.
You could also ask whether they have a scholarship program and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to the point, the adult recreation opportunities that you had mentioned, Jana, and this isn't unofficial, but one idea that I had thought of was, I've always wanted the pool to be open earlier for like lap swimming. So I was like, what if one day, like Saturday mornings, it was open? Like you could be like part of an adult swimming club. Like, and it's only for adults on Saturday mornings, swim teams Monday through Friday. So like, what if it was open on Saturday mornings and I could like sign up to be in the
We do
adult
have
swimming
that,
club?
we have swimnastics, it's like an exercise pool class.
But that's for like, my impression of that is that's for like elderly people.
I
Is
have
that not?
10, 12-year-olds signed up for the class.
Like, that's,
Yeah.
it's not for, like, that's not for me. Like, I'm not gonna sign up for swim
So I mean, it's a full circle.
If I didn't have this work gig, I would be down there doing that, cause I think it sounds fun.
It sounds like fun, like it's Monday through Friday, it's like an hour.
Yeah.
What is it?
Gymnastics, so it's gymnastics in the water, like calisthenics.
Okay, yeah, no. I'd rather just do a class. Like something like, I don't know, like you have that as an option, right?
Additionally.
Yeah, like, but like I'm not saying get rid of that. Is that on Saturday mornings?
Monday through Friday.
Yeah, so like I'm saying in addition to that, offer an additional opportunity for adults, like swimming.
I'm a little off topic here, sorry.
Yeah, I was just in response to that, sorry, that's all I had to say.
So I don't know, do you know, have you heard anything from the Hills Pool as far as their parking signs? Is that related to the basketball courts at all? You haven't heard anything?
I've not heard anything from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I'm assuming so.
some pretty aggressive,
Yeah, I
we
think
will
that's why
tow
they put it
you
there.
signs, so I
I
don't know,
know.
if it's playground or basketball, I haven't been out there lately, I don't know if you have any input, if
I know, I
you've
can- I
heard
can ask-
anything.
I can ask Brenda.
I didn't wanna stir the pot, I didn't know if they were related though, cause I know a lot of times that was an issue with basketball, and I didn't know if that, the timing just seemed off, like if they're not playing basketball anymore, and then the signs went up, I didn't know
Maybe they're
if there was a
getting
link or not.
I still see the basketball players parking
They're
there,
still there,
They're
yeah.
still parked, like, even though the signs are there.
Oh,
So they clearly haven't towed anybody yet.
No, not yet.
I should tell them.
It only takes one and they get the message.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
But how are they gonna know who, is parking, like, they don't
Just
have,
technically,
they
there,
don't have
right,
anybody's
there's no
tags or
badge or
anything.
anything,
The
yeah.
members, so how do they know who's parking?
I would assume they do a call over the PA system if the call's called, and if nobody responds, you call the tow company, they come and it's now on the owner of that vehicle.
Yeah.
That simple.
Anything else for the director's report?
I would love somebody to chair a fall walk committee. Cause as you know, by Labor Day, if we have someone, I won't be here, so I'd like to be able to like either help that person get up to speed with it, or like finish it with them, or whatever. I don't know if someone has like proclivity to like, I really like to walk around the borough. We'll all jump at once.
I could try to get TJ to help me, because then he's like hike all the time.
Oh, okay.
He's like, he knows all the so I don't know.
That would be great.
We have a
But
park
he
map
can
that
help.
points everything out.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I can help with that.
You're a chair. Congratulations.
Can we make the magnets form a bigger image? I've been thinking about this in my head.
Yes.
Like, they can make a big, like,
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, kind of thing.
oh,
We could
or
definitely.
like, you know.
So you'd have to
something.
get.
Yeah, so then you have to do it every year, or otherwise you're gonna have
Well,
a
you get,
hole.
there'll be 3, we could do, you could either do, I mean, this is maybe for a committee, but you could do it like, you know, 1 per year, and you come on
Mhm.
one of those 3 weekends. Or, you do 3 individual ones each year,
Okay.
which is probably a little bit more outlay of cost, but.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Cool. So sometime in the next 5-ish, 6-ish weeks, we'll.
Okay,
sit down.
yeah.
Anybody else, we'll put it out to everybody who wants to come,
Mhm.
but we have some ideas and we'll go with it. Yeah. And so Rick, back to the agenda?
Back to the agenda, so we have old business, anything else we haven't spoke
just
on
talking
with
about
TV
basketball.
basketball
We need
courts?
to accept or approve this report or just.
Oh. I think so, my report, I think so.
I don't think I'm.
Respectfully submitted.
Any other old business? I did have one item, kind of fell off from a while ago. We had done the playground inspections towards the end of Dan's tenure. We were gonna try to maybe get additional playground inspectors in. Is it still something that would fall under what we would be in charge of
If
doing?
there was anybody in the actual state who inspects them. There's nobody within a 100-mile radius that does inspections. The one person listed on the state's website has not responded to the 4 emails and 3 phone calls I left them. So every municipality is in the same boat right now. There's nobody to do the inspections. And I assume Dan has not opened up shop as a subcontractor. And frankly, even if he did, I would be a little loath to go and ask him to, so.
Is there any self-inspection reports that we can do, or can we use any of the previously submitted reports just as like a guideline, just to make sure we don't end up in that same situation with, equipment disrepair?
I mean, the guys are out there, I would assume, when they're emptying trash and doing other stuff, they're keeping a general eye on just the general, if they see something that
Well, we
looks
did,
unsafe.
we took a swing down at Happy Hollow, somebody here brought it up,
Yeah.
still waiting on the part.
There was a very hazardous swing at Happy Hall.
So if things like that come up, yeah, we
Yeah.
can take care of it.
So we're only spotting things if it gets reported, so we're
Yeah.
not really proactively looking at those just to make sure everything's in working order, only when we see a problem, fix a problem.
Well, I mean, again, you have to be certified to do it, so we're potentially taking on liability to go out and do those inspections without the certification.
I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that we've pretend like we're submitting reports, but, is there a way that we, without actually having a report, just get a better view of them with regularity?
We could put, we could almost encourage people to report, like, so for example, for me at the swing was an issue, like, it was an issue, and I was like, what do I do about this? I don't know what, and then I was on the rec board, and I was like, oh, now I can go to the meeting and I can say something about this swing. So like empower the people that use the playground to report if they notice something that's unsafe. If there's something that's loose, or there's something that's super slippery, like the tread has worn off and now all of a sudden it's super slippery, or you notice that the hang bar is loose and it's gonna break at some point. Like just have the people that use it report it, and this is kind of what I would
I would hope so, but.
just a little like
There's
QR
one
code,
woman in
whatever,
Tennessee.
you get to the email
Yeah.
to whoever gets this.
She wasn't
The
close, but she
maintenance
was
or-
far, if that makes sense.
Like that one?
They
I
could
think
do
they're
whatever.
offering lots this fall.
She never responded.
They offer it twice a year,
Okay, yeah, I'm not
Is it
familiar,
that
but I
many
just, I feel like put something there, just
Say
tell them
her,
how to
if you
report.
wanna,
Yeah, that's some sort of
certified
thing,
playground
so that
safety
if you,
instructor?
yeah,
So you can
like
tell
we're
us.
there all the time, and then
Yeah.
I was fully
Yeah,
there, I think
underground
there's
tanks
more.
for the last.
I
Oh.
was in the summer.
And now with playground too, the playground leaders, they're probably aware of the
Can you
in
send
the
me
summer.
information?
That's when most seriously dangerous. You see how
Yeah.
it came down like
Did that
that?
answer your question?
It came down.
Yeah, I mean,
It hit me in the head
it
one
is
day.
what it is at the moment, again, just kind of bringing it up again to see if there was any movement or what we
I
can
mean,
do just to.
I think like colloquially, you can go and look at, equipment and say, hey, this has a big gash out of it, this is a rusty bolt. If you make a list,
Sure.
at least we have a list to work from. But that won't, that's not an inspection thing,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
just,
when we mulch them and stuff like that, beginning of the season, some guys will get looking around.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's, we don't do any specific inspection, we hold that mile, license.
Understood, again, I'm just trying to think about, ways to prevent shutting down a playground again for maintenance.
Well, I mean, in that case, it's because that was almost the catch-22 of, had we not done the inspection, the playground would not have been shut down, and that maintenance was not done because it hadn't been inspected in so long. It's kind of one of those, you find what you're looking for sometimes, and it's not necessarily the answer that you want. So, that particular.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Liz Tuligo. I am an alternate. I didn't know I was supposed to be coming to the meetings until Pete gave me shit yesterday, so. Anyway, but maybe, in listening to this, and I have not heard the back story, but it sounds like maybe what we need is just a checklist, that we have the previous inspection reports and somebody has that checklist and it is checked at the beginning of the year, because
I prefer you not be using those checklists at all, because that's for a certified playground
Well,
inspector
so
to use,
maybe-
and I'm really worried about the liability aspect there if there's anything tied to that.
Well, but so maybe we don't use that specifically, but I'm sure that there are things that break or need to be checked, and maybe combined with what has been inspected in the past and what thing, the Parks and Rec guys who repair that know, because, as I'm listening to people talk about report what's broken, but like, we don't want things broken, right? We wanna present, well, you don't want a kid on a swing when it breaks. So maybe what you're looking at is just a way to be proactive about, okay, what things are not, need repair regularly, and just kind of checking in on those maybe once a month, or I don't know what a reasonable schedule would be, so that we're proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to imply that weight load breaks. It's
Yeah,
more
no.
like if you see a potential safety hazard, like for me, the swing was working, it was functional, you could swing on it, but it was the guillotine.
Right,
It
until-
came up, and it's supposed to stay up, and one stayed up, and one started to stay up, and then you looked away for a couple seconds, then it would come crashing down. And I got hit in the head with like a metal.
Right, so we
It's
don't
like
want things
seriously
to get to that point,
So-
just to be a little bit more.
Just to clarify, we staff are not making those repairs, like those have to be done by very specific people. So, I mean, again, the long-term fix to this is to get either a certified playground safety inspector who's willing to do our inspections, and then a company we can work with for the repairs, or to get an existing staff member to get their certification. And it's not an easy certification, there's a lot of studying that goes into it. That said, the playground that was the subject of the issue last year, fingers crossed, third time is the charm with the grant funding that we applied for. I see that smile, Rick.
Absolutely.
In which case the whole thing's getting redone, and that would be starting from scratch. So it would really be the Hills and Happy Hollow, which are also thankfully relatively new playgrounds. Not to say that they shouldn't be inspected on an annual basis, just saying the likelihood of something being an issue there is a little bit less because they're 10 years old or newer versus Berkshire Heights is over 25 years old. Yeah, that's a big part of what the problem is there.
Exactly, keep on the stuff.
We get $500 a head.
12. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Any other old business today? Hearing on any new business today?
Jana, do you wanna take the lead on?
Sure. You might know that Dan was a full-time employee. He quit suddenly and left us in the lurch, and we're extraordinarily grateful that Pete was willing to take on the job. But I thought it was time to reevaluate the position, see whether it should be a full-time position, a part-time position, several part-time positions. So, Michelle did different options for Borough Council, and 3 different options. And then we asked her for more data, we asked how much time Pete spent in different weeks, months, how much time Kristen spent in different weeks and months. And we had a meeting which consisted of the chair of Borough Council's Personnel Committee, myself as the Steve Bruner, who was previously, he's also a council, he was previously on the rec board. We also had Mike Fitzgerald come to the meeting as well as Pete and Michelle. So we met for about an hour, we discussed Pete described the job, the ebbs and flows, and we weren't aware that so much is done earlier in the year and how it should be done between January and March. It's not just a summer job. And he talked about the number of hours and who's doing what, and the consensus of the entire committee was that it's workable as a part-time position, so long as we have somebody doing my rec as well as a part-time position. So we asked that the position, Borough Council to approve advertising positions, so hopefully we'll have somebody as of September 1.
The ad went live, well,
Tonight.
yeah, the ad goes live tonight.
But that's the process that we used, and that's the data we used. Michelle gave us different data on salaries, and it turned out one option or the other wasn't that significant a difference.
There's a difference of about
$10,000,
$10,000
yeah.
between full-time and different components of part-time. I mean, the ad does stress we want someone with event planning experience, that is a huge component of this. As well as, you know, just general management oversight of employees, experience with, you know, pool, playground, things like that.
So we'll see what we get. But we're very grateful for everything he's done.
Is that, like, that role has had a lot of turnover, is that correct? Like,
So Diane retired from the part-time position after 25 ever years in 2016, which is when council at the time, and that's also part of why Steve Bruner was asked to be a part of that subcommittee. Steve Bruner is the only current council member who was on council when the decision was made in 2016 to make it a full-time position, and was also the only council member who was part of that whole interview process. So, Rob was the first full-time rec director. Rob left in 2019, he's originally from New Jersey. Well, he literally put in his notice right before COVID hit, and COVID hit, and he was kind of on standby, so he stayed on for, I wanna say another 8 months, 9 months. Dan was in a trial position, full-time, in the position from, I think it was November, December of 2020, until,
June 20.
yeah, well, I mean, he went from trial to you were it, officially, and then stayed on until middle of June of 22.
So what, in terms of
The perception is that
offering,
there's been a lot of turnover, but to me,
it's recent.
It's just.
well, I'm not sure, if somebody stays there 3 years, I wouldn't say that's a lot of turnover. I don't know what we could expect.
I mean, just as someone who's been going through the hiring process for multiple positions in the past few months, you don't see a resume anymore where someone stays at an employer for more than 3 years. Melissa and I have probably looked at 200 resumes in the past 2 to 3 months. It's 2 years, 10 jobs. Like, that is the nature of the workforce today. So it's very hard for me to accept in terms of, I was raised, you're loyal, you know, you find an employer and you stay there. I don't understand the job hopping, and we overlooked a lot of candidates because of that. But I mean, in talking to multiple HR companies, people in other professions, I was talking to someone over the weekend who works in IT, who serves multiple municipal governments, not just in the state, on the Eastern Coast. And like, this is a common trend of people are just having a really hard time finding people. Like, people are willing to walk for another $2,000 a year.
What about like the offerings, like back in 2016 when she was part-time? What we were offering as a rec board, like the events that we were offering and the programming we were offering at that time compared to like what we offer now.
Spooky Hollow is the main event
It's similar.
that's been added since
But-
then.
But I feel like you've been I don't know, it just seems like a lot of stuff has been added, but again, it's just a perception that I have.
So you've done the fall walks, the coffee outside.
Well, yeah, I think all we've kind of done is stretch the calendar a little bit
Yeah.
and made it more seasonal.
Or maybe to publicize more, like maybe we're just seeing it more and people are going to more, like even in the past couple of years since I've been going to Spooky Hollow, like, it's been getting bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
So it might be the same events, it's just they're more,
Yeah.
they're
Word of mouth,
resonating
yeah.
more, yeah, people are turning out
I
more
don't
than
think it's
they
the
did
same
before.
jar.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
definitely, my rec wasn't a thing when Diane was here.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, even
2018.
that was Rob. I mean, that was all Rob. So, and also the fact that, you know, even now, just something rolled out this summer with all the seasonal staff is they all now punch in and punch out on their phones and don't have to use timesheets anymore. So a lot has
It
changed.
took Phyllis like 10 minutes to do payroll last
Yeah.
week. It was fantastic. It was like, done.
Yes, a lot has changed with the position, and while I think long-term the goal for the new rec director should be to come up with new programming and new ideas, frankly, I think from an administrative perspective, we'd love someone to just take 18 months to get on board and understand this is where we're at, let's be comfortable with this, and then how do we expand upon that? And a part of it, and Jenna, not to steal your thunder, where that conversation was going with Mike and the 3 council members is also, you know, asking the rec board, there are gonna be times that you are expected to step up and help out, and that's why we hope you chose to become a member of the rec board. Feel free to add, Jenna.
No, that's absolutely true, but on the other hand, as we add events, as we expand events, there's a limit to how much time any volunteer can contribute, and that's why I asked that we have some of the kids particularly, who are working part-time, so we can draw on, so we can count on certain things being done, and so the event comes across as well as we want.
Right,
And
that's
for-
what I was kinda
It's
getting at, like the
nominal
sustainability
amount
of
of
it,
money.
like,
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
in, like, thanks for clarifying that, like, there was a term person in prior. But my recollection is just in recent years, you know, the turnover with like 2 or 3 years to me is like, that's a lot of turnover. Cause I'm with you in the mentality that like, you stay an employer for a longer period of time than 2 or 3 years.
Keep in mind the nature of the position though, too. Rob was full-time. I do remember Rob during the summer, after he had been here for 2 or 3 years, he would take a 3 or 4 day vacation, like built into a weekend. But you're not going away over the summer. You're guaranteed to be here for Memorial Day and the 4th of July. Like, there's a lot that's involved. Like, I don't think people, until they either work here in general or have done the position, understand you're giving up your summer. I mean, you have people, yeah, you have people you're putting in place to hopefully manage the pool, manage the playgrounds, but you, just like me, I'm that on-call person of, at any point in time, if it hits the fan,
I
like,
feel like everyone knows Pete's name. You know, Pete, like,
We're all, but we really.
well, and there's that component of it, of it too. Everybody is coming at you from all angles, good, bad, indifferent,
This weekend.
and it's a lot to deal with. I mean, I just,
Maybe you split it then, like, is it that, like,
I mean, I think, I don't wanna speak too much, but like, I think like Pete and I now, like, I feel like Pete's like my speed dial, like we text each other
Yeah,
every day, I mean, we work
Split.
together, I
So
mean,
it is sort of
I mean, we,
two-person
yes,
job right now,
I mean,
yeah.
we definitely do.
I mean, when Diane had the position, because I remember doing it, like, if you wanted to rent the Stonehouse, you had to go and talk to Diane. Like, and you had to like, you know, meet her qualifications, and then she would present you a key. I mean, I'm not kidding, like, but she had time to meet with that is impossible. There's no way to
yeah,
do that.
that's it.
I remember
Like,
Rob
this-
told me like
that's
she
part of
kept
the
like a
change.
paper and
Yes.
pencil book that she did all of her reservations, like that would just, I couldn't do that.
There's not enough time in there.
No.
I also
just-
think that it takes a full, it probably took a full year,
for you to,
because you have all these,
Yeah,
each program is
it's a
new,
full
so
year.
somebody wouldn't even feel comfortable with that learning curve until they do the entire year.
Right.
Would you agree?
I agree, and from a personal perspective, I feel like, if all factors were kept the same, my second year would be easier than my first year, but it's still the sacrifice of like, you know,
sleep.
work and family and sleep and all, and so I'm not like able to do that, but I think the person after the first 18 months would have a very good grip on like what they're doing, you know.
I mean, and that's where Rob effectively got it after 2 to 3 years for the most part, and kind of ran itself. I don't remember him being stressed out in the summer by like 2018, 2019.
Oh, Rob Lewis is great.
Yeah, I mean, he was hands down just like a natural in the position.
Mhm.
Staff respected him. he came up with a lot of good ideas. It just, his family was in Jersey, he wanted to move back to Jersey, I don't blame him.
It's
Can't
a,
live in
it's a very, like you said,
I
about
don't
like
either.
everybody knowing
I don't
your
think
name.
any of us do
It's like-
besides Pete.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
that?
that makes it hard
Oh.
too, when you live in the borough, you're kind
Yeah,
of, you
I
don't get a
mean,
break.
I intentionally would encourage some people that live here or work here not to live here, because you need to be able, if every time I walked my dogs, which is twice a day, it was here, I would never get anywhere. So, yeah, I think that's, plus you work both jobs here, you live
It's
here.
better than being a teacher, and then,
Yeah.
you know, everybody knows you from that. I don't think it's bad, like, I'd like to color that accurate, I don't think it's bad, I don't think, like, I yelled at a guy today, like, on the phone from the pool, because he was being crazy at the pool, like, it's just, you know, that's part of the game. But you gotta take everybody at face value and really try to understand what they're trying to do. And that's a tough ask for people that might not have that background. Like, I think teaching is a very, like, teaching or retired teacher or retired government employee, someone who's dealt with the public a lot, would
And-
really get it a little more.
Honestly, Pete is probably one of the most organized individuals I've ever met in my life, second only to Melissa.
Well, thank you, God.
But I honestly don't know that someone with a full-time job could do this job part-time, especially even like, I'm just thinking your teaching hours on top of if you're in any extracurriculars or anything else, and you have family, that it's not sustainable.
No,
Because hiring starts in January,
Yeah.
and like that process alone with interviews and onboarding, it's a lot.
and my particular family, my daughter has, you know, is multi-disabled and neurologically diverse and all that stuff, so she's a handful. And to say to my wife, oh, I'll see you in September. You know, it's getting a harder and harder
divorce
sell, yeah, so it's not, you know, sustainable in the long run. Just for the record, I was very happy I was able to take what Dan and Rob and Dan and Diane had built and kind of just keep it steady. And you can hand it off to somebody who has the time to really do it right, so
We put
thank you for the opportunity.
sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
We put in the ad that applications will be accepted through August 1st. So my hope is start the interview process shortly after that, have some information for personnel and the rec board, which coincidentally meet on the same day in August. Personnel's in the morning, rec board's at night, and go from there. So
And that person could be running this meeting next week. And I'll sit over there with Mr. Jim.
I mean, in a perfect world, there's a little bit of bleed over. I cannot talk today between Pete stepping down and the new
Yeah.
person.
You wanna get him up to speed.
But I mean,
That person has to present themselves first.
yeah, and we've been through worse, so we'll deal with it one way or another.
And I do think Mike really wanted to emphasize, I know he can't be here tonight, but he really wanted to emphasize a more active board. You know, take some ownership in what's happening in the borough and like I think, from my perspective, like, I think it's just that, when I was on rec board, it was a little bit more like, I don't wanna say like school, but like, you know, Rob was very much, here's the thing, and here's what you're gonna
Delegate.
and fill this out, you know, and do that, and do that, and do that. And it was just like accepted, and I think over time that's kind of like more like, you can put it back there, or you cannot put it back there, it's just a matter of like, what that person who's gonna have this position wants to do. I don't know what that exactly will look like, but that worked in the past, we all were very like, I won't be there for Spooky Hollow, so you just didn't worry about Spooky Hollow, but the people that were, then that's what they were worried about. And the next one, so it's kind of some counter progression of what was going on. But we have committees, like we just formed a committee tonight, Sally's been around with it, like it's, all those things are in place, so we're gonna have a pool committee meeting at some point. Kate will run that, like that's just, you know,
And we have
that's a big
binders
sign.
upon binders upon binders.
So, but yeah. So I think that's where Mike wanted to kind of leave that discussion. I'll leave that for him next month to kind of expound on that, so. Great.
Let's see, discretion for determining in-kind service fees for rentals.
This was John's
It was mine too. Nonprofits can get our facilities for free during the weeks not on holiday. But there is no nonprofit that helps us as much as the Boy Scouts. They camp out for the fish rodeo to make sure the fish aren't stolen. they do a lot of things, and I thought it wasn't, in recognition of all they do, we shouldn't just treat them like everybody else. So it seemed to me that if they wanted to rent a facility on the weekend, which they might be because they're very parent intensive, and they might need parents to sleep over with the kids, and if you're going to do that more on a weekend than weekday, something like that, that it would be nice if we could either give them a discount or not charge them at all. And what I was looking for is giving the rec director and the borough manager together the discretion to waive or reduce their fees. And if there's another organization that comes along that is in any way contributing like they do, they certainly should get the same benefit, but it drove me nuts to treat them like everybody else they are not.
And for what it's worth, Kirsten did some research. The Troop 413 has actually only ever rented once on a weekend. Like, we would give it to them free during the week anyway, so I don't think this is gonna be something that happens that frequently. And I can't think of another group besides the Boy Scouts that, I mean, they're at everything. They're
Yeah.
literally at everything.
Well, even if it's like a secondary group from the borough, like we're supporting it financially or, you know, somehow, like the swim team or the Little League, they are very good at like, well, we're gonna have our thing Friday night at the pool. And, you know, they don't wanna do it Saturday, people don't wanna, you know, they wanna go do whatever they wanna do Saturday. So they've already kind of like gotten that lockstep, but it's a, you know, there could be a possibility where if they want it on a Sunday or a Saturday, that's, you know. I think we looked and it was, something like 15 opportunities and there was one.
I guess I
Let's
would make a motion to allow the borough manager and rec director together, give them the power to waive or reduce fees, should there be a nonprofit organization based in Wyomissing, which has provided significant support for the borough.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes. Any other new business?
I wanted to just touch on playground and security and things like that, as far as pick up and drop off. And I know that there are adults on staff now. I'm not seeing any real shift there as far as like my older daughter, like we had a custody agreement, I've never been able to send her because I don't feel like they're really keeping track of who's there and who's leaving and when they're leaving and who they're going with, in my opinion. And I don't know if that's anything that you've gotten feedback on or if that's just something that's sort of understood. But I know it was a big, you know, like pricing and things like that changed with the extra staff. I don't know, to me, it doesn't seem like there's been much of a change.
I'm not sure what, you know,
Yeah,
drop off and
well, like signing them in and out and things like that.
I would not expect anyone on that staff to know who they're going home with besides mom,
Okay.
whoever signs them out.
Okay.
They don't have a list of custody agreements or anything like that.
Oh, no, I know, and I mean, when I was dropping Emily off, there was somebody there looking for their kid, and they were like, oh, they're here somewhere, they signed themselves in, but they didn't know where she was.
So I mean, this is what blows my mind about the fact that we're effectively babysitting for
Yeah.
300
Right.
plus.
Yeah.
So the fact that we even
Yeah.
operate a playground program in 2023
Well,
blows
yeah,
my
but I mean,
mind.
that's like liability wise, is there anything like,
Well, it's really on the
It's on
consumer of the
the-
program to, they
okay,
know the rules, they know how it's supposed to operate, they choose to either do that or not. You
okay.
can't tell the kid to go home because mom didn't sign them in. Cause then we're removing them from the playground and setting them free in the neighborhood, which is also bad.
Oh, no, I know, but like they signed themselves out. Emily signed herself out and came to my car and left.
So I don't know how it
actually runs down at the playground, but like when you
Yeah.
register for the playground, like one of the questions is, do you give your child authorization to ride bike to, or walk to and from the playground program? So hypothetically, if they checked yes, then yes, that kid can just fly,
Right.
Yeah,
because you're
that's
giving
like
them that
more
permission, but
I'm
if it says
wondering,
no, then hypothetically, in my mind, then the next question is, who is an authorized pickup contact for your child? And it's only, they're only technically supposed to be released to
Yeah,
that
but,
person,
like, is
whether or
that an
not that.
option for someone to check now? I don't remember, and I mean, I signed
It
up.
is an option to check
It
out,
is,
but I
okay.
I'm not under the impression that it has ever been enforced. Cause like my kids are 8
Yeah.
and 10, we've done playground all the way
Uh-huh.
through. I mean, they texted me at 7:10, we're done, we're leaving, we're walking home, I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that the borough, that the staff down there has any
Would,
way that
yeah.
this kid can send themselves
Mhm.
out and this kid cannot. I mean, I always felt like, and I chose to send my kids there, so I was very happy. But like, I mean, I write my initials on there, I'm like, this could be anybody. There's nobody's
Yeah.
looking, it's
Yeah.
not.
That's just the only, like, and it's not an issue for me, but as someone who's, you know, I just have that insight and it's just a little, seems a little dicey, and I didn't know, you know.
I think with having an outside playground program, it's very hard, no matter how many
Control,
staff
yeah.
you have, because it's not like you're in a gymnasium where there's
Right.
one
In
door
and
that
out.
you're going out. I mean,
Remember the
your
kid who
kid
left
could
last
choose
year
to
went to
walk
walk?
off.
Yeah, well, they can't do that.
Yeah, I know.
Like the leaders hold the sheet, so they can't just leave.
Well, yeah, but like, they, like,
But what time, what
Yeah.
time did that happen?
it was like 11:30, and it's not, I mean, and I'm not concerned about that, but like, she knew that I was coming and she came to me and we left, but just more generally, you know, speaking, I just didn't know if
But like,
gotten
would you
any
have gotten
feedback
out of the
from
car and
her.
then signed her out? Like, had she not beat you to it?
No, I've never signed her out, she signs herself out,
Oh,
every time, the kids sign themselves in and they sign themselves out,
okay. Well, that, I mean,
yeah.
if you wanted to be a little bit more proactive, you could sign them out. Like, you could,
Well, she's done by the time I get there to pick her up as well.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's-
and
that's
I'm not
reason.
trying to like,
You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's come up at all, like, or if it's been at all.
No, my major concern with
It
that is a kid
seems-
getting left. Like, if like, for,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not, your
Yeah,
example.
no, and yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, if you wanna make sure your kid's getting signed out, then that's on you to make sure your kid's getting signed out.
Uh-huh.
I do think it's a little concerning that we ask the question, who is an authorized pickup person, and then if we don't check. That's the part that I'm like, ooh,
Uh-huh.
so if we ask that question and it's not being checked, I feel like that's a little,
I
There's
think the
absolutely no way.
impression that, and I grew, for those of you who don't know me, I grew up in Wyomissing, I worked for the borough, so Diane Hellinger was my boss, have a long history with her. My impression of, and my understanding of the playground program is it is a playground program. It is not a daycare or a babysitting program,
Yeah.
so it is by nature very loose. So there are like parameters in place, but you know, if you have a kid that you know you can't trust, that's not their
It's not the
place.
place to send
You know what
them,
I mean?
right.
So like, it's very loose, there are teenagers running it and it's, and the parents that ask me about it, you know, I tell them that, like, if you are worried about your kid, send them somewhere else. This is
Right.
not the place. If you want them to go have fun at the playground and then show up at home possibly before you expect them, or maybe you'll take them home. You know, like, it's just a fun community program. It is not it's not a school program, it is not a daycare program, it is not an organized camp program, it is a loose community.
It is the cheapest
Say-
form of
I was gonna say,
babysitting you can
literally
get.
can't be, I mean, I don't even know what it cost this year, but like, it was $80 for the whole summer forever, I'm like, it's like a donation. I mean, you can't, if that's what you're paying, you have to have realistic expectations.
I mean, and just to answer
Yeah.
directly, I think it's just on if the parents,
Yeah.
like, if you're concerned about, you know, your kid getting picked up, then.
Right, well, no, and I'm not, I'm just thinking
Right.
liability wise, like on our end.
Well, we're trying, I
Like
don't,
if I sent my kid there and I said, no, it has to be someone who picks her up, they're not doing that,
I don't think there's a
So-
way to do that.
okay?
That they shouldn't give.
But then that
parents
shouldn't be an
That's how I
option,
feel,
it should be
that
like,
needs to come out of the questionnaire, and if anything, a
understand.
disclaimer that your
Yeah.
child has the ability to sign
Yeah,
themselves
your
out,
child
and
can
if you are
be-
not okay with that, you should not be registering for this
That's
program.
more what
that's-
I'm thinking.
that's exactly
I mean,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
redo the word, I mean, that's just the way that that was one of the questions that was originally set up by Rob in the system that
Yeah, I don't think it
Yes,
should be in there
that-
unless
that
you're
would-
checking.
Yeah, that's.
That might be wise to take that out, because it does give the impression
exactly
of
what
some
you're
sort of
trying.
oversight,
Yeah, we're
which.
not-
So
we're
I've
not
already
scoring
like
up
watched
for
like
No,
a
I
new
mean, kids know
webinar
I
that
think, yeah, like,
they
kids
came
know
out, like a
this.
different questionnaire form this year that you can do that is gonna be much simpler and much nicer, but I mean, we can definitely put on that when you're answering the questions that like, your child is coming and going at their free will.
Yeah,
Like,
unless they're taught like sign out.
Honestly,
Honestly, if it weren't for me, we would not have playground. Like,
I
there,
completely
the,
agree.
to be honest.
if it were my call, we would not have playground. Like, when I sit there and actually think of the logistics
completely
behind
agree.
it, I'm like, how?
From a
Like,
registration aspect and like dealing with like the parents from it, like,
Yeah.
it is a giant headache and like so much work for like such little money that is coming in for it, like.
Yeah.
And to Kristen's point, I just think it's like, it doesn't know what it wants, it never has known, I think Liz described it very well.
Right.
It's just go to the playground and play, there'll be some high school kids there, they'll play with
To make
you,
sure you don't
and then you'll
die.
leave, like,
Yeah, it's basically like supervised play, there's like
Yeah.
crafts,
it's
and
Yeah.
never
as a
going
kid,
to
they
be
just have the big
a
box
school
hockey,
or a
which is
class
awesome,
or.
but like, it's just supervised play, like, that's all it is.
Yeah.
If they scrape their knee, someone will put a Band-Aid on it, probably, the bathrooms are unlocked, which is a major bonus. You know,
There's
like,
chalk and bubbles.
yeah, right, chalk, bubbles,
Yeah, I
Pokemon
just-
cards probably.
Construction paper?
I've heard the rumblings, and then especially after whatever happened with the kids trying to get into the elementary school.
Oh, I
My
heard
son
that.
was traumatized, he has been crying because somebody was trying to hurt the school, like, there's like, so I didn't
Kids
know
were
if
getting
there was any, just, yeah.
Some
Just thinking,
Oh, I got the-
non-playground kids,
Are
like,
not-
like
yeah, and they're
Wilson
not related
kids,
at all, right.
broke into the elementary school, and our leaders and the kids that were left in the playground, like, caught them and called
Yeah.
the police,
Mhm.
so kudos to playground.
Yeah.
But I,
wow, can we get
Yeah.
hot smoking basketball players too?
Maybe do like if the form, you how like if you answer, if you're registering a kid for tot lot, then you give those questions. So, you know,
And I mean,
like,
I've
or-
never been
and, like,
down to playground programs, like does Tot Lot enforce it more than playground?
I sure hope so, it's like a 4-year-old,
No, I
yeah.
Do you say no?
they can't sign themselves out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
they
think
They're
yes.
right, they can't break the news
Yeah,
yet.
let a 4-year-old just walk off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they're not watching the space.
Okay. They show somebody.
There's a verbiage there might be, but.
Oh, no,
I'm sorry.
That is why two things are.
Yeah,
For tot lot.
apparently that's the way it's been set up since 2018, but yeah, no, I'm saying
I've
yes,
already
it will
started
be.
working on like a new nice, like there's a new way to ask the questions in the system that the software company designs, so I've already started.
Okay, but somebody needs review.
I think there should be a general disclaimer in there to the effect of your child is able to sign themselves out, and again, if you are not comfortable with that,
But a distinction in the wording between tot lot and
Yes.
playground.
Before we can, they can just leave.
But-
They don't have to sign themselves.
We're not gonna tackle them, like, if they start to leave, we're not gonna, like, throw them on the ground and call the police, like.
why are we pretending that there's even that?
Well, I don't think that there's any, you know,
I mean, we can
presentation.
ask that they
Yeah.
sign out, but.
And I was gonna say, I think the hard part too is like the questionnaires were the same for playground
Yeah,
and
they
Tot
can't do
Lot,
the
so, I
Yeah.
mean, going forward from you guys'
Yeah.
I've never been there to sign a kid in and out and how the process goes, like that's helpful for me to know like the types of
Yeah.
questions to be asking.
Yeah, my son
Who's ever
says that next year he's 4, there's no way.
Yeah. Just maybe some way of explaining it. That's just the things that I've heard from other parents and things like that, it just seemed
They left the playground for a while.
like it might be a good idea.
Jana, I think the sign out is important because they don't want everyone to leave and.
I know
still be
what
done.
you want. I don't think you ought to give the people the impression that it's always gonna be
Oh.
done. That's where I draw the line,
Okay,
because kids can leave,
right, well, if.
and nobody's going to say, hey, kid, you know,
Yeah, but if
but
there's
there's
like.
no wristband saying you can't,
Right.
you're gonna be zapped. It's not like that thing on, store where you're gonna get a noise when you leave. So people need to understand, we might want them to do that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Just say beep beep when they
Good
leave,
job.
oh, number
Thank you.
231.
That's right, it's cross the boundary.
now the PA system, escaping. L1.
Any other new business tonight? Hearing none, motion to adjourn?
Can't take a motion.
Motion to adjourn? Second?
Everyone wants to stay.
All in favor? Motion adjourned.
Thank you.